Welcome to the Small Business Sisterhood podcast. I'm your host, Pepper Makepeace, an online business strategist for female solopreneurs and side hustlers, and founder of the Small Business Sisterhood, an online membership community serving small business owners in the first stages of business. Join me as I go behind the scenes with female entrepreneurs, revealing the struggles, strategies, and inspiring stories of these amazing women. If you're interested in connecting with like-minded women, learning effective business strategies from the experts, and being a part of a mastermind group that helps you grow your business, check us out at smallbusinesssisterhood.com. Today we're talking to Nicole Hoglund of Honestly Able. Nicole is a small business and confidence coach for entrepreneurs who are ready to create their own version of success, and one half of the hosting duo of the Beautifully Bold in Business podcast. Basically, she really wants you to see the power you bring to the table in your business and truly be confident in the goals you have. If she isn't working, you can find her hanging out with her husband and pup, having a great cup of coffee or glass of wine with friends, or on the couch watching really bad reality TV. Thank you, Nicole, for being here. I am so excited to talk to you today. So can you tell us about what you do?
Sure. So thank you so much for having me on, first off. I'm really excited to be here. I love podcasting. So I am a small business and confidence coach, and my business is Honestly Able. And the reason that I kind of created the business and what I do is I help female entrepreneurs actually achieve and create their own version of success. And from there, help them figure out what they're honestly able to do with their time to make sure they're always meeting and exceeding their expectations for what they've set up. Because so many people actually feel like their version of success has to be tied to monetary outcomes. But when you kind of dig deep and you really figure out what you want, sometimes they're totally different than anything that you could have imagined.
Right.
For example, when I first started the small business and confidence coaching, I was like, my version of success is going to be $50,000 because that's what my old corporate job was. And as I started peeling back the layers of who I am and what I actually wanted, I actually realized my actual version of success is actually helping others achieve and create goals that make sure that they're always meeting and exceeding their expectations. And there's no monetary outcome to that. Yes, there are goals that are tied to it, but the money isn't always so prevalent in that.
Absolutely.
And what I've realized when it comes to small business and confidence coaching, my background in marketing really led people to think that I was going to create marketing plans for them and implement them and create strategies. And a lot of the times they would just take these plans on, but they weren't completely bought into it. And it was the confidence of them not being able to say, no, this isn't what's going to work for me, that really led me more down the line to do small business and confidence coaching to get them actually excited and revved up to say no and create the decisions that are going to be best for them, regardless of what everyone else said. So that's kind of what led to Honestly Able, because it's one of those things that I saw a need in the industry, especially for business owners who are just starting out. And I've been through it, so I can kind of relate to them a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really love coaching. It's one of those things that, I've been a cheerleader for, I'm 30 now, for 20 years. And it just came naturally to me to kind of be the cheerleader and champion for other people and really show them that there's someone on their side regardless of what they're doing.
That's awesome. And we all need that. I'm really excited about your business. I think it's such a beautiful thing to focus on because, you're right. A lot of people talk about the strategy. I like to talk about strategy, but there's an added piece to that is really important. And when I first started my business, I was looking at the money part too, and then I realized, that doesn't really make me happy. And so getting to that space where you really understand what success looks like for you is a big deal, big step in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about your ideal client. Who do you like to work with the most?
So obviously being a small business coach, small business owners have a place in my heart. But to get down to the nitty gritty, I really love working with female entrepreneurs just because there's a level of connection there that I think can go deeper than working with a male entrepreneur. And that's not knocking male entrepreneurs at all. I love them. But being able to actually peel back the layers of who you are and create a safe space for people to kind of dig deep and figure out exactly what they want, who they want to work with, and also maybe deal with some things that are uncomfortable, female entrepreneurs at least give the benefit of the doubt of being open to that process. I really like working with business owners who are like 3 years and under in business, just because they always are having challenges that I can relate to, that I can help them with, that I can maybe take their business to the next level and really kind of be on their side and see their journey. Plus, I mean, I really love females who not only get it, but also give themselves a ton of grace, or want to at least be open to learning how to give themselves grace. Because the ones who hustle all the time, I can relate to them in like a former life. But in my life now, I give myself a ton of grace to understand that I love my business, but at the same time, I don't believe in a work-life balance. I believe in a life that is balanced. So incorporating how my work can actually be a part of that is something I really strive for. So I'm not someone who's going to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning and from like the second my feet hit the ground, I'm hustling until I go to bed. Like I create those pieces of space that are like white space in my day where I can know if I really need to take a nap, I'm going to give myself the time to do it. Or if I need to go hang out with friends just to get away from it, I afford myself that time, because hustling all the time led to burnout and led to why I started this business, because I didn't necessarily want to do the life of hustle all the time. So the ideal audience kind of revolves around those business owners who then allow themselves grace or want to figure out how they can.
Awesome. And so we talked a little bit before we started recording about the importance of being authentic. Can you tell me about how that kind of plays into the work that you do?
So for me, being authentic is something that when you, and it doesn't even have to do with business, but for yourself, when you really figure out who you are, you're then able to show up as that person and not care what everyone else thinks or says about you. And that is something that I think a lot of people, especially with the way that society is, really kind of gets lost in the sauce about who they actually are. And for an example, I'm going to just give myself, because before I started this business, I always wanted to please other people. I was the typical person who would take on way too much just because I knew it either helped someone or someone would really be happy about it. And what I realized is I was putting on these masks, these things that I thought other people wanted from me, and was not comfortable with it all. And as I started peeling back of, oh, I really don't like this person. Like, I don't necessarily like who I am when I take on everyone else's stuff. I realized that being who I am, this positive, uplifting, optimistic person, is not necessarily a knock on everything else that's going on. Just because I choose to be that way doesn't mean that I have to be like everyone else. And as I started peeling back these layers and started really being true to who I am, it actually opened up so many opportunities for me to see, because I wasn't faking it. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I really was just trying to be myself. And it gave me that confidence to say no to things. It gave me the confidence to actually create a business that I love as opposed to a business that I think other people would like. And it's all about figuring out what your values are, you know, who, like, if everyone else just was not there, like, who you actually are. And I like kind of using the analogy of, if you're in your living room and it's 7 o'clock at night and you're not working, you're not doing anything, you're just kind of being yourself, who is that person? And when I did that for myself, I was quirky, I was funny, I was sarcastic, I was just laughing all the time, and there was not a care in the world of what everyone else was saying about me. And once I figured out that that's how I wanted to be, it just was easy. And being authentic really is about being, your life is easy when you are authentic. There's nothing that actually stops you from doing stuff, because you're not necessarily thinking about what other people are saying about you or what the world kind of sees you as. You're really just going through life with this sense of ease and purpose, and it's fun. Like, and that's kind of what authenticity needs to be. And when you show up as yourself, your business will be better for it, because then your business can be authentic as well.
I really love that. And I think that and with my work with clients, I see that a lot, that they feel like they have to be something that they're not. And so I'm curious, in your experience, when people, and possibly particularly when people come from corporate background, do you see people kind of have this process when they first start their business, that it's really kind of a learning curve on getting down to that place where you can say, this is truly me and this is how I'm going to show up in my business?
Yes. So I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's an option for them. I think when you're transitioning from corporate, you're so, and I don't mean to say brainwashed in a way that's bad, but like, we are brainwashed to think a certain way in corporate, to realize that there's a hierarchy, that in order to move up the ladder, you have to please other people or do a good job or do things that maybe compromise your values, but it gets you to that next level or that next kind of pay bracket. And when you become a small business owner, to see it in a way where you can be yourself does take a lot of time. And I think a lot of people go into it without realizing that that's an option for them. So they just dive into their seeing a need or a pain point to fix and not taking the time to figure out if this is really what they want to do. They're just seeing kind of the cash flow, the money, the different types of opportunity that's going to bring them income, but not necessarily take the time to see if this is really sustainable for them because it's a passion for them.
Right.
And that's where the two kind of play off of each other, is when you actually take the time to figure out what your passion is and how you can make that into a business, you set yourself up for a better version of success than just diving into a pain point and seeing the profit that can happen from it. And I think that one of the things that I would love to change is people who want to break free from corporate is giving them that opportunity to take that time and take that place of finding out exactly what they want to do, instead of just having to dive into something that they think they need to do based off of what they've been seeing in their corporate positions.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, that's so important. And like you said, giving yourself that space and that time to really look at that can be so beneficial to how you feel about your business later. I think when I first started, I definitely had to go through that process too. And even like when I look back at, blog posts I wrote in the very beginning, it was like I had a completely different voice than I do now, where I feel more myself in my business. And it's such an interesting way that comes through, I think, in people's business.
Yeah, and the one thing that I have realized as I've researched different businesses and clients that I work with, from the time that we start conversations to the time that either we end conversations, there's a totally different aspect that they want to change, and it's for the better for them. And I don't judge anyone for wanting something that maybe is not necessarily aligned with what I think, because what I think truly does not matter. It's really what they want. And I think being comfortable with what you want is also something that we have to kind of embrace and learn a little bit. Because in the beginning, to be honest, I knew I wanted to do coaching. I knew I wanted to do something where I was able to help people, but I allowed influences in on how to grow my business and how my business should be shaped. And since launching to the time frame that we're in now, it is completely different, because I've actually embraced who I am and what I want, regardless of what the industry is saying, because not only is it what my clients want, it's what I feel most comfortable giving them. And that's really where, when you're comfortable with giving, you're open more to receiving. And when you're coming from a place of giving out of fear, it doesn't necessarily reciprocate back in the way that you want. And I was operating out of fear in the beginning just because I wanted to make it work so bad.
Right.
So it's just little switches that you can make and little changes and shifts to really get you to be living more authentically. And then seeing the benefits of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, but it could just be a lifestyle change, or it could just be how your day's structured. And those little things really let you reap the rewards a lot more than just kind of doing things out of fear all the time.
Absolutely. So tell me about kind of the process that you help your clients with in terms of understanding what success looks like for them. Like, how does being authentic and success kind of tie together?
So I love this because it's something that I do with my clients probably the first couple of sessions. just because there are so many different aspects that need to be peeled back before they can even figure out what their version of success is. And that leads back to authenticity. So it's really getting into the who of who they are and diving into questions like, what values do you hold? What's been stopping you from moving forward? And most of the time it's always, how do you define success right now? And asking questions like, well, what would be different if you could have anything that you wanted? Like, regardless of money, regardless of time, like, what would you actually go after? And really letting them, like, create this vision and this big picture that they've always wanted. They just never had a place to actually create it because there were always outlying factors of, oh, I can't do this because it's going to cost this much, or I can't do it because it's going to take up this much time and I need to get it done in this time frame. And once they have that bigger picture and they really understand what their values are and how they actually want to show up in the world, and, really kind of coming from a place of not judging others and also not judging themselves, because that's a big thing that I see a lot is the judgment from outside really can hurt, but the sting is when we start judging ourselves and the actions that we take and the goals that we have. So really getting them comfortable and knowing that just because their goals might seem unachievable to them right now, that the judgment around that is actually hurting them from moving forward. And once they actually are so comfortable with themselves that they can see the bigger picture, it's then asking them, what does success actually look like to you? Is it more time with your family? Is it actually being able to get out and see friends more? Is it, being debt-free by the time you're 40? Like, all of these different things that people didn't realize could be success, because in corporate life, your success is tied to what your boss thinks you're worth. So if you only had a $50,000 a year job, that's what success would look like to you. So being able to turn that from corporate to a small business mindset, the money's still important, but success is completely different. And it's a completely open field that you can pick anything that you want. There's nothing that's limiting you. And once they figure out that, it's like a light bulb for them, and their passion is there, and their drive is there, and the motivation is there. And then it's just reverse engineering how they need to get there. Is it a 5-year plan? Is it a 3-year plan? Is it a 6-month plan that you can actually get it based off of your time frame and how realistic it is? And then it's just helping them, keep them accountable to making sure they're meeting and achieving those small little micro wins that then have a huge macro change for them at the end.
That sounds like a really powerful process to lead people through. Have you seen like big changes in people that you work with from, day one and through?
I have. And that's like the biggest thing is I love seeing the changes in people, because I've also seen the change in myself. So it's not like I'm coming to these people and I'm like, I can create change and help you get to X, Y, and Z. I've done it for myself, so I know what that could look like for them. And the shifts that they've made, and the emotions that come out, and the gratitude that they have when they actually start seeing the change that I've seen over a month or 2 months. It seriously is probably so much more humbling and so much more, there's just a lot that's going on that I am grateful that I was able to give them that. But there really isn't a monetary outcome that can be tied to what I'm giving my clients. Like, I could do this for free all day long and I would still be as happy as I am right now, because seeing my clients actually succeed at things they didn't even think possible when we started is really seriously the best thing ever.
That's so great. And I can so identify with that process, and I love that you're helping women do that, and hopefully it'll take a lot less time than it took me. Hi ladies, I wanted to tell you about ConvertKit. ConvertKit is a powerful email service provider, and I'm so in love with it. It's tailored toward content-driven businesses like bloggers, service providers, and podcasters. They make it so easy to create automated content and provide a lot of useful tools to help you have amazing results with your email marketing. One of my favorite features is their robust tagging feature. For example, if someone buys your course, you won't keep sending them the promo emails telling them to buy it. I hate it when I get sales emails for products I've already purchased, don't you? It really adds a personal touch to be able to send targeted emails to subscribers. And just for being a Small Business Sisterhood podcast listener, you can get a free 30-day trial. Just go to smallbusinesssisterhood.com/ConvertKit for more information. You've talked a little bit about your process and your own business. Was there anything that you felt was really difficult in that first year, or that was surprising or unexpected that came up?
I think coming from an agency perspective, I gave myself a lot of time to be profitable. I didn't necessarily think coming right out of the gate that I was going to make a ton of money. And that was really what gave me a lot of room to figure out what works for me, because I had saved up enough where if the first year I didn't make a dime, it wasn't going to affect me and my husband's lifestyle. And it really took a lot of work. Like, it wasn't like I launched my business and all of a sudden all of the packages were perfect and the price point was right and I had people coming in. Like, it was a lot of upfront work to see what stuck and what needed to be changed. And I mean, the packages that I had in the beginning are not anything like they are now. And that's really where that wasn't necessarily difficult, because I gave myself grace, but the difficulty was really kind of making sure I was still confident in everything that I did. Because even though I'm a confidence coach, I still have the self-doubt and the negative talk and the questioning of everything, because my job isn't to be confident all the time or to be optimistic and positive, which I do try and strive for. But internally, that's something that everyone still struggles with. My job as a coach is to pull that confidence out of you and to help you actually sustain more confidence in your daily life. So being able to see the confidence in myself was difficult at times. And it's because there are so many amazing coaches in the industry right now. To see myself as an expert as them was difficult, because I could see that they were already having success and profits and clients coming to them and being tagged in Facebook groups and all that stuff. So that was a part of the process that was difficult, because being able to say to myself on a daily basis, I'm good enough, I'm worthy enough, and even if the clients aren't coming, they eventually will, because I'm setting the groundwork now. That was a struggle on a daily basis. And it still is to this day. Probably not as prominent as it was in the first 6 months of business, but even today, still sometimes get that tinge of, I really wanted that client, but even though they went with them, that was the right choice for them. So it is still a daily struggle. And I think the biggest struggle was actually staying true to who I was. And that comes back to that whole authenticity thing. When you start out in business, you really want to make it work. So you start listening to what everyone else is doing, what people are saying and advice that they're giving. And if you take it all on, it can be overwhelming. And it's not that I took wrong directions in my business, but it took me longer to get to where I am with my packages and pricing, because I decided to listen to other people. And once I shut out the noise and started really listening to what I wanted to give and what my audience was willing to receive, that's when it kind of clicked, and I started seeing clients come in, and I started seeing return on investments that maybe I wouldn't have seen for longer if I didn't shut out that noise. So that's really where the difficulty was. And it's just, and there's no knock on that, because sometimes we do need to listen to the outside world, but when it comes to really being true to who you are, if something really doesn't feel right, I really want to encourage people to not do it and figure out what's going to work for them.
I really love everything you just said. I think that oftentimes people think that, like, confidence is something that you achieve and then you're good to go and you're done and you can just go on with life and you'll always be confident. And it's so not true, and it's such a daily process of, checking in and being aware. And I love that, you as a successful business owner, you still have those twinges, and so do I. And for me, that my business is a living, breathing thing, and like from day to day, it kind of ebbs and flows. And I think that process of staying true and being confident is really is a process of staying on top of it and being aware of where your mind is.
Well, and my favorite thing that I have learned, change is constant. So, and if you're not growing, you're not doing anything. So the whole confidence bit isn't to say that you're going to be confident today and then 20 years from now you're still going to be confident. Each day is going to present different obstacles for you to work through to make sure that confidence is still there. And if it's not, it's helping work through how to get your confidence back, because it's not like you're going to be good for the rest of your life. And you have to grow and you have to evolve and you have to figure out what's going to work best for you because, I mean, even from yesterday to today, there's so many changes that have happened that I need to work on all these different things and figure out what's going to be best for me. So just being comfortable with that change and knowing that it's still going to change tomorrow and it's still going to be, different is actually a lot more comforting than to think everything's going to stay the same.
Right. Well, and I think that, everything that you're talking about is really beneficial for our listeners because, in that first year, it is so hard to stay on top of that and really feel okay with it not feeling great all the time and maybe questioning what you're doing because it doesn't feel, like awesome every day. So I really appreciate that and that you're sharing your experience and everything. So thank you so much. That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. The one thing I will say for anyone who's just starting out, just like a last little tidbit of advice, because I just remember this, is seriously unsubscribe from every single email that is going to distract you or make you feel like you are not worth it. I do not have any coaches that I signed up for emails anymore because it's distracting and it's going to get at your confidence thinking that they're doing something better or greater than you. And that is absolutely 100% not true. Because what you're creating is meaningful and it's impactful, and you just have to find the right audience that's willing to listen to it.
Absolutely. And to kind of piggyback on that, not what people present in their businesses is not always how it really is happening in the background too. So comparing and feeling like you're not as good as another business is you're not even really comparing reality to reality. So I really like that. I did that same thing. It's really healthy to kind of go in and unsubscribe to the things.
Yeah, it's like an email cleanse for your soul.
Totally.
It's just amazing. And my inbox isn't dinging constantly now.
Right.
And to piggyback off of what you just said too, don't get frustrated when you see people who are like, I've had my first 6-figure month and I've only been in business for 3 months and, I'm making 7 figures in my business and I've only been doing this for 2 years. I love Christine Kane because her advice is you cannot sustain growth if you don't do it slowly. So those people who are saying that they fast track their success, all she's saying is that's not sustainable. Eventually, that 6-figure month is going to go away, or they've already tapped out their audience and really aren't necessarily making a profit the next month. And you also don't understand or see behind the scenes, like you said, about what took it to get to that point. Did they sacrifice things? Did they maybe just start their business 3 months ago, but they've been planning this while they were at corporate for a year, so they had already the foundation set? You never know what that took to get them there. And maybe your success isn't necessarily 6 figures. I know mine, if I could just get my business to 4 figures a month, I'm happy. And that's the thing, we see those shiny objects that we think we need to go for, but in reality, it's checking back in with yourself and saying, yeah, 6 figures a month would be great, or a 6-figure business would be awesome, but really, truly, at the core of it, if I wanted to get there, how crazy would I make myself doing it? And what do I actually want to do that's achievable for me, that I'm comfortable with, and my lifestyle doesn't necessarily have to change? And it's that, again, Christine Kane says, in order to be as successful as you want, you have to be comfortable with slow, steady growth.
Absolutely. I love that. I am just so in love with everything that you've been talking about, and I want to know more. And so do you have any new projects or any developments that you're working on right now?
I do. I actually just opened the doors for enrollment to my 2017 mastermind called Honest Action. And it's a 6-month mastermind that you are going to be locked in from January until the end of June. And basically during that time frame, we are not only going to help you redefine what your success might look like for 2017, but we are going to help keep you accountable to the goals that you set, and also make sure that not only are you meeting and exceeding them, but also we're going to help you work through any blocks that could come up based off of lifestyle and limitations and all that other fun stuff. There's going to be a masterclass once a month based off of your needs. So each month I'll announce the guest for people. And on top of that, there's just going to be fun giveaways, and you get a 6-month Power Sheet workbook with the purchase of enrollment, which I think is pretty awesome because that's one of the things that has helped keep me on task in 2016. And knowing that the 6-month mastermind is going to be really helping you keep on track with your goals, it's just a place for you to write it down and not necessarily have to worry about it.
That sounds like a great program, and I think that sounds really powerful.
I'm excited about it.
So where can people find you on the internet? What's the best way to connect?
So best way to connect, you can either go to my website, which is www.honestlyable.com, or I am always on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram handle is at Nicole_Hoglund. And on Facebook, you can find me at Honestly Able.
Awesome. And I will be sure to include all the links in the show notes so that people can find you. Thank you, Nicole, for talking with us today. You can find more information about Nicole and the link to her website in the show notes for this episode at smallbusinesssisterhood.com/6. I hope you found this episode useful and inspiring. If you did, please hop over to iTunes and leave a review. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.